Good evening, folks, and welcome to Dice&Decks Presents Live Meet and Greet Session 10. This evening we'll be discussing our reactions from the Revolution Virtual Playspace software that we used last night over on our Twitch channel. Unfortunately, that call did not get recorded and didn't forward properly, so it looks like it's lost in cyberspace, but we'll be doing it again next week, and that one will be recorded, we promise. So, Joe, we'll go ahead and get your reactions from the program and discuss the contest that we're running. If you want to talk about that a little bit, go ahead.
I can intro the contest. I don't know all the details about it, but I'll turn over to you as we go. Is this really our 10th session? That's crazy. Seems like we haven't had that many, but that's awesome. So yeah, last night we started our first session with the Revolution Virtual Playspace program. It's an alpha build and all these other disclaimers that are coming along with it. But I think it's ridiculous because the program itself is so usable as it is right now. Um, it's something where you can build your own play space, you can build your own tabletop, you can build your own dungeon, and you can share that dungeon and share that experience with people across the world who maybe live further away or can't get over to a house or something. And I think that's awesome. I think that's what this whole, for the last 10, 15 years, the internet craze has really done, is allowed people to share their ideas and their passions with other like people, but across the world. And I think the virtual play space program, the Revolution Virtual Playspace program, is another extension of that. And I know that there's been role-playing programs out there that allow you to do quick draw sketches and allow you to have character sheets and stuff, and that's all fine and dandy. But to actually have a visual representation in a world that you can move around in can really even do more of drawing people in and giving them a feel for what it is their experience while playing a character while doing that role playing. As far as the actual technical aspects of it last night, it worked out really, really well, besides the fact that my dungeon was way too huge for some people's computers, and that's all my fault. I kind of went crazy with the temple that I was building, and it was just really expansive and really intensive. I put all kinds of crazy light assets and those sorts of things that are intense on computers to handle. But for the people who were able to get into the dungeon that I had built, I know Brennan, you put people through it, and the fact actually that we were able to still play the game with those other people through them watching on Twitch and giving direction is also really cool because again, you can still have that effect and you can still do the role playing aspect of it. Have a character that does, things you want it to, be able to see the effects of, putting a, casting light on a snowball and throwing it at something and having it stick in the ground. You can actually put those lighting effects in the game. Having miniatures that move across the table and are taken off when they die, or to get a visual cue and that stuff is just really cool. And we're going to get better at it. We're going to get better at utilizing those things, and I'm really excited to see what the community can do with it. I know it's always that those things of I have a vision in my head as far as what a dungeon looks like and what a temple looks like and all these other things, but the person sitting right next to me, a new vision or a completely different outlook on what their temple and dungeon is going to look like. And the more support that that community has, the more temples that are built, the more dungeons that are built, the more maps that are built and shared within that community, the more people you're actually going to be able to get to draw in and participate in it. So I'm really stoked. I really had a good time with it. It was a lot of fun building the temple. So people like to build things like in Sims or in Minecraft or something like that. They actually will love this program just because they can do pretty much whatever they want with it. It has a lot of flexibility. It has a lot of potential, and we are giving away a free copy of it. Actually, as of right now, the game is on Desura. You can purchase it from there for $19.99, or you can go to the actual web page and do a donation from the web page. The website is www.revolutionvirtualplayspace.com, and you can actually donate through that web page, and for $20 you get the game as well. But through the Dice and Decks, that's on our Facebook group, or where did you post that, Brennan? The actual contest itself.
The contest on the Revolution Playspace site, under contests, if you click on it.
Yeah.
So Revolution Virtual Playspace .com, and then on the right-hand side of the screen, there's a little button that says contests, and then it'll click on it and give you the details. That's where you enter at. I posted the entry on the different Facebook groups that I'm a part of, as well as in the Dice and Decks group. I believe I blasted it out via Twitter, and it'll be on the Twitch channel once we get that going. And I think I can put something up on YouTube as well. I got to look into that.
Yeah, I'd only seen it through the Dice and Decks group because I've been busy at work and doing a bunch of other stuff the last couple of days. So that's why I hadn't seen the other pieces of it. But obviously, it's, as Brendan said, it's out and about everywhere. So we have 14 days left on that, 14 full days, actually. So we'll have left on the giveaway as it is. And obviously, the more you get a chance to see us play it, the more hopefully you'll get excited about it and have the ability to just, as an open tabletop is, you can build whatever you want and play whatever you want. It's fully customizable for rule sets. It's completely built to be agnostic, and you can rename the stats if you have a game that you've built where Constitution is defined as something else like Fortitude, or Dex as Agility, or anything like that. Actually, the character sheets are completely customizable. There's room for character notes and all that other stuff as far as the actual players are concerned. And as far as the DMs, the dungeons that you can build and the maps that you can build, it's pretty much free flow. So I just really look forward to the future in this, and being a part of it is just awesome. And I just really want to see it grow from there. So yeah, 2 thumbs up for me, like literally 2 thumbs up, as well as just a lot of fun and a lot of time spent working on stuff, and hopefully people appreciate it as we go forward. So that's my 2 cents on it. Dan, I know you were playing with us last night, so what's I know you kind of got dragged into this by Brennan and I, but I hope you at least had fun with it to begin with. What's your opinion on what we got going on here?
Yeah. Basically, I gotta agree with everything you said there. It was freaking awesome. Other than the issue with the friend box that I had no problems with the graphics and stuff. The like I said, the only issue I really had was the friend box. I mean, everything else, 2 thumbs up. Like you said, Minecraft builders and everything are gonna love it. You're not gonna see it all blocky unless you want it to keep that way. They do have different leveling features where you can fun building stuff on there.
Hey, Randall, thanks for joining the call. I'll get with you in just a moment, sir.
Hey, Randall.
Evening, gents.
How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Just giving a little chit chat about our adventure last night on our Twitch feed and new program that we were running, so it was pretty exciting.
Very cool. Was it everything you'd ever hoped and dreamed?
Yeah, my temple was amazing.
Did you have a chance to check it out, Randall, or?
I'm gonna be that guy. I missed it. Have you guys posted the video yet?
Actually, I won't say a funny story because it's actually kind of sad, but first time broadcasting on Twitch, I had hit start stream, and it went that way, and that was fine. And then I had asked somebody else, hey, do I need to hit this record button? And they're like, no, if you have it set up to forward, it should just automatically forward to YouTube. Well, it'll forward, but only once the video is recorded and posted to Twitch. Otherwise, it has nothing to forward. So, since I didn't click record, it didn't get uploaded to Twitch. But next week, we know what the problem was, and we'll have some video that way. But there is gameplay footage out there from the developer. But yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to have our footage out there as well because we did spend a good amount of time creating it. We didn't finish the temple, so we'll be finishing that up next week, and you'll be able to see kind of what you should have saw this week. But it is really amazing stuff. Go ahead, Randall.
Cool. I will try to make it to the next one.
And real quick on that too, actually with the temple, I'm gonna actually clean it up a little bit and hopefully get it scaled down so that people that had difficulty rendering all of my fun little things will have a better chance doing that next week. So because I have some time on Thursday, so I'm actually gonna take out a few things that are unnecessary and drop down some of the lighting effects and stuff. And just see if that is able to help everybody else out. So I'm hoping that we can actually get everybody in the temple next time, rather than having my monstrous design flaws kind of ruin it for people.
You could just delete the 3 rooms that we were in too. The one on the left there, and then the 2 on the right.
No, I mean, and I can do that, but I want to see if I want to keep it as because I want to be able to upload it, once it's done. Once we're done with it, so that other people can have access to it. But I put an outer shell around it, and some of the smaller rooms, there's some other outer things that I had put in there that are unnecessary. So there's a lot of things actually that I can clean up and actually scale it down quite a bit.
Gotcha. So Cody, you weren't in there at all, and we had already kind of discussed, that aspect of it with you before the call. But do you think that you'd ever build anything in the world, or you do a lot of the theater of the mind stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I mostly do theater of the mind, but at the same time, if I had any important places, like places I really would like to have done, it'd be really cool to have the time and effort to do it. I just don't really see me using it every session. It's got to be something like, for instance, I'd probably use it to make a town, like a town they go back to a lot, or something along those lines. But not sure how quickly you can make a dungeon in this program.
It depends on how complex you're going for. Like I just threw the one that I have, the WIP file that's up on the site. That took me maybe 30 minutes. I mean, obviously it's not done, but it's definitely usable, and you can understand what else is meant to be there most likely.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I guess it really would be a lot easier for me to explain, like, or talk about it if I actually saw the thing last night. Is like in my mind right now, I'm basically seeing The Sims, like you guys were saying, and personally, I was always really crappy at The Sims because when they told me to build the buildings or whatever, it was just really shitty.
Hey Joe, can you do a screen share and bring up the WIP file I posted? I know it'll take a minute to get that set up, but can you do that?
Yep. Yeah, you'll have to give me a few minutes though.
No problem.
Yeah, because I played the original Sims, so like that was the first time I ever had something similar like that. And
I would describe this as like Oblivion or Skyrim style graphics, depending on how much video your computer is capable, or not video, but your graphics your computer is capable of handling. And then there's like a 2.5D element to it, so like you've got depth added to originally flat images. It's actually really cool in terms of the minis and stuff. We'll have Joe load that up, and he can kind of drop some stuff in there and show you what we're talking about in the feed here. But yeah, it's a really cool program. Randall, I know you said you didn't get a chance to set it up at all. Have you been on the site at all, or have you been reading anything or seen any of the pictures or videos for the program anywhere?
A bit. It's I'd say your description's pretty spot on. Just graphically, it looks kind of not quite Skyrim, but like high-endish piece of EverQuest 2 or something.
Yeah, what I did is, I might be a little bit spoiled. I have a pretty good setup for my rig here. I'm able to run it at 30, either 3200 by 1800 for resolution, and it looks phenomenal. About the worst thing about it is that I can't make the huge file maps, because it doesn't do me any good to make them because you kind of have to make your maps for other people to play in. But when you're building them, if your rig can handle it, you can do some really amazing stuff, and then just have people playing it that way, like off of your computer locally or something. But if you're going to try to run it on stream, like we're doing, you got to do them in like what's the word I'm looking for? Like wings. Like you'd have to build a castle in separate wings, and then have them load like the west wing and the east wing, and then the center, and that kind of thing. But yeah, loading the maps, you can do it right in the program, so you don't have to leave.
But yeah, going into the how long maps take, like he said, his took half an hour. I mean, I've been working on for like 4 days here. I'm a major attention to detail person, so yeah, I don't even know if I'm ever going to be able to get mine up and running because of the fact that, again, not everybody's computer can handle it, and even mine's starting to feel the repercussions.
Yeah.
Dan, you should upload yours at some point, and let me take a look at it.
Yeah. When it comes down to this program, honestly, like, I guess whenever I buy anything new that's game related, I always have to ask myself a couple different questions. The first one being, will I be able to use this all the time? And for me, I'm not good at, being artistic or whatever. I don't have the spatial depth, thing. I don't. When I think something looks cool at the end of the process, I'll look at it and I'll go, oh, that's.
Well, so here's one of the things though is that here's actually a couple things. Number one, it's the designer of the game has said that he wants to keep the game at $20, at $20, at $20. Any updates, any patches, anything he is adding to the game, if you paid that initial $20, you're going to get all that stuff as you go down the road. The other nice thing about it is that if more and more people are into this kind of thing and actually are willing to build those maps and load to the community, you might not have to spend the time doing a whole lot of the actual map creating or dungeon creating. You might actually be able to, just sift through a couple people's that have made some stuff or things that you like and utilize it. Maybe just change a couple different things or add a couple little light sources or that kind of thing. But if a base dungeon or a base map or a base building is built for you and you like it, if that's in the community, and it's uploaded for everybody to use, you don't have to take that time or worry about having that those sorts of things have an issue.
Yeah, it's just like I said, when it comes to my games, I have certain visions in my mind, and if nobody gets that same kind of vision as I'm trying to do, it's just better to do theater of the mind. I mean, I guess I could say, imagine this cathedral, but it has obvious Roman-esque things to it, and like, I don't know, I really would have to see it in action before I can make any more solid of a thing. Because, I mean, I'm seeing the screen share on there. It looks nice, but I mean, I'd have to see it from beginning when you start at nothing, and then see what you get, see what other stuff pops up.
Well, of course. I mean, all the different.
Right now it looks nice, but is there different types of architecture? Is there Nordic architecture? Is there Roman? Is there Egyptian? Is there aquatic? Is there
Right.
I mean, going on.
So right now it's in alpha, and he's constantly adding stuff to it. But to answer your question, there's dwarven temple style. There's basic dungeon layout that's kind of like a European inspired, not necessarily Roman specifically, but just European flavor. There's a cave style, and then there's also a sewer. In terms of the dungeon-esque type things. Then you have the different buildings, and you've got like cobblestones, and you've got like sandstone. So you could do like a whole Egyptian-style city, where you lay out on the grid the sandstone covering over your basic tiles, and you can essentially paint over the default tiles with the sandstone covering. That was something I was actually monkeying around with earlier, but anyways, as far as like aquatic and stuff goes, currently that's not on there. What the nice part is it's in alpha, and they are constantly adding stuff. Like we've had the program for a little over a week now, and we've seen 3 updates, two for sure. I think possibly 3 updates. One of them might have just gone live the day we got it, but anyhow, it's brand new in terms of its release to people. That's why we are giving the alpha disclaimer, and that's why we're the only authorized broadcast channel for it and the official playtest group for the software. But essentially, if you go on and you enter the contest, like if you want to play around with it, you can go and sign up for an account, and you can view the different stuff. I believe you can view the files, right? Or screenshots and videos of it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. All right. So let's keep that up there. Are you doing the present to everyone option, or are you just doing the broadcast?
I just did the screen sharing. Hang on. I guess I didn't. I've never messed around with that. I don't know if there's a way to change present to everyone. You might just have to click on me.
Are you asking how to broadcast it to everyone?
Yeah, I don't.
Is it set up to show what Brennan's seeing?
Brendan might just have to click on my.
Yeah, I clicked on his window.
Yeah.
It's just not doing it.
Well, do you see?
There you go. Yep,
Yeah.
there you go.
Because I was tabbed out of the game itself. As long as you have it brought up, people can see it.
Yeah, I got it. All right, so there's treble clef bass.
Old man, now this is like 50 years down the road. With a poison sword, you say the green sword. That thing's awesome.
Vermilion sword. That is awesome. Go ahead and move around.
Do you want me to move the camera or move the mini?
Move the mini. I noticed I accidentally deleted my tile underneath there. That's funny. It's like that building's floating up there.
Yeah.
Go into that small room. And that's the little dungeon I threw together in about 30 minutes. Go over by the stairs once you get that closed.
I'm gonna leave the mini there just so.
Yeah, that's fine.
And the lights off, of course.
Yep. So yeah, that's kind of what it is. In about 30 minutes, you can make it a lot more detailed. Do you want to load another map, Joe?
All I really have is no, I do have a couple things. Let's do
Load the temple that they missed last night.
Well, let me.
Or wait, will that take a while?
No, it won't take me that long.
Okay.
This is the under basement of an inn.
I thought it was a tavern.
Under the basement of a tavern, yeah, I guess.
In tavern, I suppose.
This we can do. Yeah. This one didn't have a ceiling or roof put on it yet, but this one's got rats. I like how you lean the chairs up. That's pretty cool. It takes some. So this kind of thing. Okay. So setting up a table and chairs like this chair here, and just setting a table, super easy. 2 seconds here and there. To do this kind of thing, to make it look a bit more realistic or a bit more, lived in, that takes a lot longer. So it depends on how you really want to do it. I did this in my temple where I put the chairs on top of the table, actually without even seeing this. It just takes longer because you got to line it up and you got to make it look real and believable. Adding the the angled broom and the buckets, and look Dan, there's some spoons. Adding all of these goblets, all the silverware, trying to add all that detail is just going to take some time. That's a lot of plates and bowls and stuff.
Yeah, what's interesting is this graphics are basically like not Oblivion, Morrowind. Reminds me a lot about Morrowind, actually.
Yeah, and it depends on the style you're going for too. Like I said, like Vernon was saying with the different styles, this is just stonework stuff.
I put a lot of hours into that game, and like the graphics that are at right now is basically Xbox, so like traditional old school Xbox. So
I'd load it up on mine. I don't think it comes across from my resolution to you guys. I don't know how that works. Does it?
Well, like I said, it doesn't matter. That's still impressive.
Morrowind.
Morrowind
is a big game. That's like 700 hours if you do everything, if I remember right.
Well, I don't really care much for graphics. Like, in fact, when it comes to video games, I prefer cartoony and and better gameplay over. Oh, the water looks real. Who gives a shit? Like, do you? Oh, the water looks nice, but what's in the water? Oh, nothing.
Vampire fish.
Well, I get it, but I'm just saying, like, if they spend 20 hours programming water and there's nothing in water, then
what's the point of having it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, like, I've never been able to ask a video game person, like, why do you guys prefer graphics over gameplay? Like, if it was really that important, to have graphics, no, I got nothing. I can't even play devil's advocate. See, like, these graphics are great. If you had awesome gameplay and these graphics, wouldn't you guys buy the game?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we did, because the alternative to what's here. This is going to sound weird, and I don't remember if I shared the story on this Twitch stream or if it was on a call the other night, but it's so funny because we were at Joe's house, and he was working on this particular temple, actually, that we're going into right now. You can go ahead and go in, Joe. And when we were talking that, we had brought up another program that's a two-dimensional program, and there was a drawing on the screen that somebody had done to look like a cave system, and Joe's mom was there, and she said, "Oh, why are they playing inside of someone's stomach?" And we kind of laughed, and we're like, "Oh, that's the cave system." She's like, "Oh, okay, I get it. Like, that's supposed to be this level, and that's supposed to be that level, and these little round things are like groupings of people or whatever." And she kind of looked at what Joe was working on his actual computer monitor, and she's like, "Yeah, I can see why you're, excited about this program, because this is kind of a new way to play, online or with other people." So it's so weird because it looks like video game quality, three-dimensional stuff, but it's for online gaming, which is mind-blowing to us. So yeah, we were excited to get on board and have that conversation right away.
Yeah, see, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm a bit avant-garde and do my own world building down to some cultural things, but there's just so little stuff out there that I could possibly use to represent the worlds I create, because it's not just Tolkien-esque or Nordic or very simple. And then on the flip side of the coin, I don't have the time to design or learn a program to create the exact look that's in my imagination either. Thus, I'm also not an artist. So, I mean, I can go back and forth, like devil's advocating myself and going against it. $20 ain't bad, but at the same time, I don't have the time, to learn how to. For example, look at the wall for a second. Any of those Celtic things, anything.
Hang on, let me get an actual open wall space. Here we go.
Okay, there you go. I don't have the time to draw that. Also, I don't have the skill to draw that. Let alone, if I made up my own type of Celtic knots, or for a setting that I created. It's I mean, I guess I could use them and just say, okay, imagine instead of curves, it's angular, and people might get it, but it's just, I don't know. That's why theater of the mind usually works the best, and then this could work to get the basics, I guess. Like,
I think like spatially and dimensionally, even if you're not able to get the exact look that you're going for, if you just place the pieces that don't really matter how they look that much, for example, like it's a table. There's a table there. All right, so you have a table in there. You have the size of the room is accurate, so it's a 60 by 40 room. The figures, when you drop them in, they take up one square. The square is, a 5 by 5 square. So in terms of the theater of the mind, if you just drop people into here that either aren't that great at theater of the mind, or you just want to have a representation, like you were saying earlier, of something they're going to be using often, you can really take away those questions as to, okay, what's over here, what's over there? Like, okay, here's what's over there. Oh, okay, cool. That's where the shop is. All right, so I go down the street and to the left, and I go up 2 doors, and there's the shop.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I could make something that, like, for example, is Nordic, and just say, okay, pretend these are Roman columns, and pretend this is. But how much pretend this is before it starts just getting annoying, Like,
yeah,
pretend
exactly. Yeah, that's why if you leave it like for you and for others like you, like I'm kind of like that too. Like I wish I could get it exact, but I know that I'm not going to be able to, just because there's too many things. You have feature creep. You start to want too much stuff, and you end up just putting so much in there that it no longer is workable, because there's so many darn options. But if you leave it as essentially as its basic, like, can you build something above ground? Yes. Can you build something underground? Yes. Can you build something natural? Yes. Can you build something in like a sewer setting? Yes. Like those are the 4 basic tile sets, and like everything's paired to match those specific tile sets. That's like, okay, there's our starting point, and now we fill in the spaces with the rest theater of the mind. Or if it's stuff that's just generic products, like I was saying before, just a table. All right, is it a round table or a long table? And that's pretty much the gist of it. Where I really liked it is, Joe, bring up the overworld map from last night.
But I'm showing off the huge scale of the map that I built. Look at this thing.
Uh-huh. Did you go through the secret room? Or wait, what secret room? Never mind.
Yeah, I didn't really put anything in here, so what you see is what you get, so...
That's right, WYSIWYG. Alright, overworld. This is another one that I did. This one probably took me an hour and a half or so. Oh, it looks like you have some of the setting. Oh, space. Space is what you want. And then you want snow and fog if you can run it. All right, there you go. And the lights off. Well, okay, whatever. You got to kill the lights. It's too bright.
I think I need. There we go.
Yeah, see, if I had the time and I had, the mind for making maps and all that jazz, this would be a wet dream. But for me, like, for a guy who played Sims and couldn't figure out how to make a bathroom logically inside an apartment, like, it's.
Drop a fig and turn on the vision light, Joe, so they can see that.
But I mean, I might actually just throw the $20 to this just so that I can mooch off whatever other people create.
That's the beauty of it, because there is the file sharing part. See, there you go. You also have line of sight, so there's no question anymore. Like, what does your character see?
Oh, yeah. She's Wolverine claws. I didn't even see that.
She's gonna kill you.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, like, I guess the thing is that I'd probably advocate this program just so I can get people to to make stuff for me, or not make stuff specifically for me, but like
make stuff you can use.
Yeah, and then if I could, take that file and then edit a little bit of it, then it'd be great.
Yep, that's exactly what you can do.
But other than that, like, every other thing I've ever created video game wise that has to do with buildings and stuff, for some reason I just don't have that talent. I don't have the ability to look at, like, in my mind it's perfect. I see everything as it should be. Putting it in there, it's like, oh crap, I didn't I didn't get it right. Like, I don't know.
Love that name, Joe.
I know, right? I figured you would.
All right, you can go ahead and kill the program and stop broadcasting that and come back in. So yeah, that's kind of what we did last night. Go ahead, Dan. What were you gonna say?
I just wanted to say, so I think I found a new character for next time when my first one, dies.
When?
Yeah, when mine dies, I think I'm gonna go with Wolverine there.
Yeah, there's no if. Their characters will die. The one-shots are a little bit difficult. It's not like they're... it's not like the DM's trying to kill them. It's just that the environment's that brutal. There aren't healing potions. Magic items and that kind of thing are exceedingly limited. Last night, they found mushrooms that turned their skin color after they ate one, and they continued eating them just so they had the ability to heal themselves at all. And one guy almost died quite a few times.
Yeah. I'd love to play on something that nitty gritty, honestly. I mean,
you'd like to play in that?
Yeah, and something gritty like that? Heck yeah.
We play Monday nights at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. So
yeah, I mean, if I can do that, the problem is I can't really commit to games that are solid because my schedule is not solid. My schedule.
Well, no, they're not a weekly thing. Well, okay, they're weekly, but it's not the same characters every week. It is for next week, But then after that, it's going to start rotating most likely because people are going to be dying and needing to create new characters. So, I mean, if you're interested in playing as your time allows, you can come in and adventure with whatever you roll up.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely love to do that. Just not sure what I would play because I don't know what level, what scope, stuff like that.
Right now, they're level 4, and that's where all the new characters would be starting at is level 4.
Oh well, that's actually I can make some pretty awesome stuff with that.
Yep, and it's 3.5 and nothing's banned. So.
Oh, 3.5? Nah, I'm good.
Oh, you do 5.0?
I do 5e, but to me, going back to an older system that's already outdated is kind of like it's more than a little bit tedious because like when I'm like I came from Pathfinder and they streamlined a lot of the skills, they streamlined a lot of the stuff, and then you have to go back to 3.5 where the skill points have the one halves and you have to roll like 3 or 4 different checks to do a grapple instead of the CMB. All that little stuff that they corrected over the last 10 years, and it gets tedious, as I said.
People homebrew rules too, right?
Well, I know people homebrew their own rules. That's fine, but I don't want to learn. I have to learn like a ton of new homebrew rules, for a one shot. That's
Right. I just more meant like the streamlined part of it. People pick that up and they make it part of their own games too. Like I took a lot of stuff from 4.0, or I shouldn't say a lot of stuff. I took some things from 4.0 and I took a bit from 5.0 already too, and brought it back into 3.5. Until 5.0 has all the customization options that 3.5 offers, I don't think too many people are going to want to switch to that in terms of those who like the overly customizing aspect of it. 5.0 is great, and we're going to be doing a 5.0 one-shots as well. I think we're going to be trying to do those. We might be playing them Tuesdays and then uploading them Thursdays. I don't know if they'll be on the Twitch stream or not. I got to figure that out, but that's something that we're looking at also.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is that I'm the type of person that would take an older system and then put it to the newer one rather than the opposite. It's kind of it's like buying a car. You can buy an old car, and have to rework all these different things, add the new features, blah blah blah, or you can buy the new one and you won't have to deal with so many problems. And then if you want to add extra features that you were on your old car into it, you can. But, like for example, you can take the stereo system out of your old car, put it in the new car. That's my best analogy, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say not all of that connects fully, but I think I know what you mean. It's honestly one of those potato moments. There's a lot less work involved in bringing the parts of 5e that are better into 3.5 than there are taking all the stuff for customization, like the 3,000 plus classes, and converting all 3,000 of them to 5.0. I'm just not going to do that. So, I love both editions, and I find a way to, play both as best as possible. But everyone will do it differently. That's kind of how I look at it. I'll stick with the one that's got the most customization, and then add the stuff that's changed as I can or as it makes sense to, and then homebrew what doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I just love the streamlined mechanics of 5e.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking 5e in the least. Like if you play just 5e, like that's awesome. But if you're trying to have a more robust system, you gotta be playing 3.5 or 3.75. Either that or doing a hell of a lot of converting. And I honestly I don't know anyone who's done that much converting yet. I've seen a couple of files here and there for a few things, but no one. I don't know anyone who has everything from 3.5 or Pathfinder converted to 5e. I mean, that's just an asinine amount of work to do. So I think most people are just sitting on their hands waiting for either someone else to do it, or until each of the new editions of the 5e books come out, so they don't have to do it. But yeah, I'm definitely
Well,
excited to see what
sadly, if people are waiting for Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro to do it, they're going to be waiting for a very, very long time because they already released their scheduling, and all they're going to do is these things called stories or adventure paths. They're not actually going to make rule books anymore. They're just going to make these things because they already said that it's actually not profitable to do like what Pathfinder did with Ultimate Combat, Ultimate this and that. It's actually more profitable just to do the adventures and stuff like that and do the league. So it's people are going to be waiting a long time for them to like make more classes or that sort of thing. Because it's basically I'm not too familiar with how Pathfinder or other previous things did it, but for example, if there was a special new NPC with a new class or whatever, that's how they're going to do it, rather than here's a book of more options for you. Does that make sense?
Yes, so like something unique to that edition rather than stuff from older books, maybe?
Yeah, well, I mean, like for example, in when Summoners came out in Pathfinder, they had an NPC summoner in one of the adventure paths. And then that was like the introduction to it, and then they came out with the book with Summoner in it. But for 5e, they're going to do it in the way that here's the adventure path, here's that summoner guy, but we're not going to coalesce it into a book because it's not worth any profit. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. So they're going to be releasing them like maybe one or two at a time or something. We'll see. It is what it is. I mean, we're not going to change. We're not going to change anything, but
that's
that is if that is the case. Simply put, I mean, it's going to be better to take what you like from 5e and throw it into 3.5 if you like, all the customization. If you don't, then you're going to have to do a lot of conversions to get stuff from 3.5 to 5.0 if you want it all.
Yeah, and I mean that's another problem that I've been seeing is there's not a definitive guide to convert anything to anything. So it's kind of like
one person's interpretation might not be another's. Yeah.
Well, I mean that too, but for example, like how do you take out all those skill things or whatever to 3.5? Do you just drop the entire skill system of 3.5 and just kind of Frankenstein it?
Yep, that's basically the gist of it. At least that's what I've seen people doing.
So you don't. Also for saves, you don't actually have Fort, Con, and whatever save. You just got rid of that and then made it the same as 5e.
No, I didn't take everything from 5e. I only took the parts that I thought made sense, like the death saves. That's one of the big things I took from 5e. So you no longer die.
If you have the death saves, then how do you have Fort, Con, and will saves, or Fort whatever saves still?
For things that are fortitude save based, like poison effects, that has nothing to do with dying.
Mm.
There's a lot of options, but the intricacy around the death saves literally only revolves around dying. If you're not below 0, you're not dying.
Yeah. So I guess the next big thing though is if you didn't take the saves, then do you still have all those like nickel and diming +1 +2s, or did you just go and do the advantage disadvantage?
What was that last part?
I said, do you still have all that stuff that rules-wise is like +1s, +2s, all the nitty-gritty things, or did you kind of take from 5e how they do advantage and disadvantage?
Both.
Explain.
Sure. So advantage is given as a role-playing reward or as a decision-making reward.
No, that's not. You're talking about inspiration.
Yeah, but you can use inspiration to be given advantage or disadvantage. That's how I do it.
Oh, okay.
And then if you do a poor decision, I give you disadvantage. Or if it makes sense to give you disadvantage, like in combat, if someone's got advantage over you by standing up on a hill and attacking down at you, it's the whole thing about it needing to be a rules thing is kind of stupid to me. I don't understand how it becomes difficult. It's more of a logical thing. Does in real life, would this person, if they're attacking you from this position, have advantage? Yes or no? In real life, if you're trying to make this particular check, would you have advantage? Yes or no? So
That's exactly how 5e does it.
You what?
That's exactly how 5e does it.
Yeah, and that's the funny part. But like, how can you not still have the skills? Like, because if you don't have the skills to do it, you just can't do it, regardless of having advantage on doing it or not. I think it's like you really can't have one without the other. So if
what I'm telling you is, okay, let's use flanking as an example.
Sure.
3.5, you had to have a line of sight or whatever, a straight line through the target, and then you only got a +2 bonus to hit if you had flanking. Now, how do you add that with advantage? Do you just you give them a +2 and advantage?
Nope, flanking is not advantageous. Flanking is a combat maneuver. Advantageous is terrain-based, where there isn't something that you're given from it, like a height advantage, aka advantage.
Okay, so you kept all the clunkier +1s, +2s, but you get the advantage and stuff in that version when you deem it necessary?
No, when logic makes it sense. I think, like, if you're, for example, if an archer's up in a tower and he's shooting at you, he's going to be better able to hit his target than somebody who's standing behind a wall shooting over the wall and just hoping the arrow strikes.
Okay, so I mean, you're kind of staying on the 5e, and I'm trying to get the 3.5 stuff. Like
sure.
That, like, you keep, I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying to ask, where's the 3.5 in this mixture? And most of the time you're saying advantage and disadvantage. Like, for example, in 3.5, there was the rule that if you were on higher ground, you get a +1 to hit. Do they get the +1 to hit and the advantage, or no?
If you're on higher ground, a +1 to hit. Let me see here.
Yeah, that was 3.5's rule, and I'm saying, because my original question was, do they still have the nickel and dime stuff of the +1s and +2s? And then you said yes. And then when I said, advantage and disadvantage, you said yes. So the way that you've been explaining, if the archer is shooting down, technically he'd get that +1 to roll and the advantage by what you said.
So I'm trying to bring up the higher ground thing that you're referring to.
Hold on, you muted yourself for a second. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's meant for melee attacks in 3.5.
Okay, right. So what
I was just using a hypothetical.
Yeah, let me see here. Attackers dazzled, entangled, flanking, invisible on higher ground. In melee, they get a +1. In range, they don't have any bonus. So,
well, I mean, I was trying to
the melee bonus from higher ground, wouldn't apply. The range would have the option of advantage, obviously. The different penalties on the armor class. Let's see. I know someone had asked about backstabbing before, and the backstabbing isn't to me, backstabbing isn't an advantage or disadvantage thing. Like, you can never have disadvantage on a backstab, right? So if you can only have advantage on it, then I just use the pre-existing 3.5. If the situation is something where you could have disadvantage on it, then I would give you the option.
I'm not familiar with the term.
Like sneak attack, backstabbing?
Yeah, because I don't know anything about backstab. Like, that might be anything, or...
Well, no, it's sneak attack. I'm just saying sneak attack is stabbing someone in the back. Like that. That's what it
Well,
is.
see, I'm pretty sure that's what they called it in 4E was backstab or something. Some power that the rogue had, but
Yeah, I'm not familiar with backstab. I just was saying backstab. Sneak attack is what I meant.
okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's not a difficult thing, but that's one of the things that I had brought in from 5e. Is the advantage and disadvantage. A lot of it revolves more around the inspiration than the actual combat. But in 3.5, where there weren't pre-existing, modifiers, already granted, I would grant advantage or disadvantage. So in the situation where someone ranged on higher ground doesn't have advantage in 3.5, I would give them advantage. And because I'm giving them advantage, I take away the +1 that the melee one would normally get, and I just give them advantage instead. Because in real life, if you're trying to take a hill,
So technically, you did exactly what I said originally,
no,
which was took advantage and disadvantage and didn't take the nickel and dime stuff.
no, I keep the nickel and dime stuff in instances where it already applies. It's a combination of both. In that particular situation, that's where I did take away the nickel and dime for the one melee that it applied to, and gave advantage or disadvantage.
See,
And
and
again, that makes sense logically to do that.
yeah, it makes sense logically. I feel, what's the term I'm looking for? I feel your system is good on the fly, like it's good for like playing the game, but on paper it probably would sound clunky.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works out. Like in the conversation, like explaining it, for every scenario, doesn't sound very good. But if you watch the combat encounters, like in the videos we do from our live gameplay, that's where I enact the stuff. And the combat, it can take a while if there's a lot of people on the board, but it actually goes for 3.5. It goes ridiculously fast. For 5.0,
Yeah.
it might be slow, because there's still the 3.5 math involved. But it,
5e? How much 5e have you done?
how much 5e have I actually ran?
Or played, because there's barely any math from one.
No, and that's what I just said. I said that for 3.5, the math is still there, but the combat is fast, just not fast for 5e.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
It's so you're saying your game is not fast for 5. Oh, hold on, I'm getting confused.
Okay, so a 3.5 is slow.
Yes, I know that. It's like an hour and a half.
5.0, right, 5.0 is fast.
Yeah.
My 3.5 is faster than normal 3.5, but a little bit slower than 5.0.
Okay, so your math looks like.
The math is still the same, but I've enacted
No, what I
certain
mean
things.
is here. I'm trying to present it physically. So yours is faster than 3.5, but slower than 5.
In certain situations. In other situations, it can actually be faster than 5, but that's just because 5 doesn't have all the stuff yet. Like, it doesn't have... 5 hasn't encountered every option yet because there just isn't every option out there for it to have encountered.
Yeah.
Like, for example, what happens if you bring a factotum into 5.0? A factotum, the reason the class exists is to have all the class skills. Well, in 5.0, what does a factotum get? There aren't skills. Does a factotum just get hacked in 5.0?
I'm not sure. I'm not much of a fan of converting. So.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that 5.0 is awesome, and I think from a customization aspect, it's going to continue to get better. But I'm not going to judge an entire system until the entire system's released to judge.
Well, technically, if you want to take what I said earlier about wizards, this is what you get. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know the truth of it. I haven't read anything, and I haven't spoken to anyone at Wizards or whatever about it. But I can't imagine that they're not going to release more content. I mean,
no, you misunderstood. What I meant by that is, okay, so looking at the numbers, if you look back in 3.0 and 3.5, right, the numbers of the books were constant, but they weren't high, they weren't low. And they were just barely eking by with how, like the costs of printing, the cost of this and that for these splat books. And
right, and that's why they did at the end. That's why they released the complete series, and the complete series is probably the most bought series of role-playing based books.
Are you talking about 4E now?
Of 3.5 complete.
Oh, the completes. Well, yeah, but see, that's the thing is like the completes were nice and all, but I'm talking about all the 3.5 books from 3.0 to 3. The end of 3.5. You know, all of that, all average, like.
Yeah, they released
sold
a lot of shitty books, but they combined them, all the content from them either into compendiums or complete books. And what I think that they found from that is that that's what people want. They don't want to put up with, 4,000 different books. I mean, that's what 4E was, and
I get it.
And 4E sold like crap, So that's why they talked to the fans, like, what do you guys want? All right, well, we want usable content.
Well, I understand that, and that's why I wasn't getting to 5E yet. But when you go in through the records and all the the money, the exchanging money, the profit margins, and things like that, it just wasn't feasible to be making these books, even with the complete line. It was nice, but then people started complaining about the bloat, and then they kind of sank their own ship. That's why they thought, okay, we'll make 4E. Well, that was one of the major things, and then the second one, which was stupid, they wanted to try to tap the MMO crowd, and I'm like, oh god, this is going to be a nightmare. And so we know how 4E went. But now that they're taking all that data, all that information, and the information from the buyers, that's where they're making their judgment calls on only releasing things called stories. And these stories, or whatever, are basically adventure paths that will have some spice of new stuff in them. So, for example, like, let's...
Horde of the Dragon Queen?
Yeah.
It's fine. I want to get some other people talking, if you don't mind. I feel like we've been going back and forth quite a bit. Ty, welcome to the call, bud.
Hello, guys.
How you feeling?
Oh, not too bad. What's the topic of conversation?
We were just kind of discussing about the changes I made to my D&D world and the way that I run the rules system. But I don't really want to speak on that anymore. It's over and done with. We did reactions over with regards to the call from last night, the stream, and talked about the program because that didn't end up making the transfer from Twitch to YouTube, and it's lost in cyberspace, sadly.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know, right? So next week we'll make sure to hit the record button.
Hey, but the one good thing is it should look better next week because we'll know a little more what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Less large dungeons is kind of the theme of it.
Yeah.
Finish the temple.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna finish the temple, but it's only, I think, 2 or 3 rooms.
Well, I think you could. Within the game, you could still do large dungeons, but within the software, you probably need to break it up into smaller chunks. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's breaking it into one. That temple very easily could have been 4 different maps that you load up. Play through a section, go to the next section, play through that, go to the next section.
Yeah,
if you do it that way, anybody with any PC can do anything. The way I built it was very self-centric. Doing my own thing and not really thinking. And of course, it was the first thing that I built, so I didn't really think about it anyways.
Yeah.
But, yeah, going forward, you can have that in mind, of course.
Well, and there's a lot, especially in that central main room, there's a lot of detail there. 2 weeks ago when we were doing that other software, or not software, but using the other site, that night's main fight, I guess you'd say, was fairly simple. We went into a cave, there was a bend in the cave, and there was a wagon. That whole little setup probably could have been set up or could have been created in Revolution, no problem, I think.
Yeah, I could do that in like 5 minutes, really.
I was just say 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you put down a floor and the walls and I don't remember if there's a wagon, but I'm sure there's a cart or a wagon or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a wagon.
Broken ones actually. There's some. There's ones in each different stage of being broken, essentially.
one wheel missing, two wheel missing, all wheels missing.
Yeah, and in fact, I was driving this morning, and while I was driving, I kept coming up with ideas. It's like, oh, they should have this in there, and they should have that, and they should have this. And this afternoon, I signed into the software, and I was like, oh yeah, they've already got all that stuff. So
I'm a real big fan of the nameplates, though. That's awesome.
yeah, that'll be great.
So I know we asked last night at the end of the call about initial impressions. Unfortunately, that didn't, like I said, transfer over. Why don't you tell us about your impressions of it, Ty?
Well, we were doing a score on a scale of 1 to 10, and mine was the lowest, but I still gave it a 7.5. I think everybody else gave it an 8. That's close enough to, I couldn't argue with an 8 at all. I had some issues with moving the camera around, but that wasn't the problem with the software. It's one, me using a 5 or 6 year old computer, and then 2, the map was just so big, so my computer had a hard time, reading all the changes, the graphical changes that were happening. But and we had some tech issues getting kicked off and things like that, but I'm outlining all the bad stuff to kind of get it out of the way. And it's not really bad. It's just, you're going to have things like that with anything, especially considering this is just alpha software. But, I mean, as far as the gameplay and the general movement and everything and the look, it was all fantastic. It'll take... our gameplay should speed up the more we use it and get familiar with the controls and get familiar with what we can do. I mean, every time I sign on to the software, it seems like I learn a little new something or other that I can do. And the video that Mike put up either yesterday or the day before definitely had some helpful hints in there for getting around and for building. But I don't really have anything, awful to say at all. It was just for the most part good. And I think it'll, like I said, I think as Mike and folks, anybody working with him builds more, it'll get better. And I think the more we use it and the more updates we get, we'll get better because we'll get more familiar with it. Even with everything that we saw last night, everything that Joe had done and everything that you had done, Brennan, we're probably still only got maybe 20%, if that, of what this software is capable of. Considering everything that it can do.
I clicked on only 20 or so different assets for what I built.
Yeah, I mean, and for the most part, we were just using the visual aspects. I think you used the hit point thing a little bit, but I mean, we didn't really put in the character sheets or doing the dice rolls or anything like that, really. So, and who knows what else will come along eventually.
Yeah, and there's also the hex created with the large overland maps.
Yeah.
And you gotta also have to remember that we are only doing fantasy-based stuff. He has spaceships, he has planets, he has military units. All that stuff is actually being loaded in there as well. Not
Mac Warrior.
Yeah,
Mac
not
Warrior.
as that is in the game yet, because he's kind of been focusing a bit more on the fantasy side of it. But if anybody wants to take that into a more futuristic world or that kind of thing, that's definitely another piece of it that we are not even considering right now.
You forgot battle cars too. There's the Rust program with like the twisted metal cars. You could have a twisted metal derby.
And I don't remember if Mike said it's available or not yet, but I believe you can if I understand correctly, I believe you can import your own skins, so you could create your own minis or your own cars or spaceships or whatever.
Yeah, that's something that'll be coming. There's one disclaimer on that is it has to be artwork that you own. Because otherwise, whoever uploads it is held responsible for that, not the actual gamers themselves.
Oh yeah, well, that's this day and age. That's kind of understandable. Plus, it would kind of get boring if you signed into a game and there's 10 Drizzits there. Everybody decided to play that particular dark elf.
Only 10?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Oh, I'll use another name. Luke Skywalker, maybe.
I was just trolling you, Chai.
I figured.
I read him.
I figured.
I'm going to refill my glass of water.
Okay. But no, I thought it was a great experience. A little frustrating at times, but anything like that is the first time you really get to use it. I do know that a certain monk is going to sit down with a certain bard and have a long talk at some point.
I have no idea why. I was very productive. I kept you alive.
And I kept you alive by holding off zombies.
It's a fair trade.
Yeah, well...
I killed a wolf and gave you some bardic inspiration and some other stuff.
You're not supposed to kill the wolf, though. You just knock the wolf out gently.
I just have bladed weapons. I don't really have much of a way to knock wolves
not
out.
Kill the flat of the blade.
Okay. I'll try that next time.
Sing them to death. You've done it to everybody else.
You guys haven't died yet. You've kind of just been trucking along.
Yeah, that's true. I'll have to... I try to keep the cotton in my ears. Or I guess we wouldn't have cotton, maybe. I don't know. That's what I'm going to do with those mushrooms. Talus is going to stick those mushrooms in his ears. They'll turn red, but at least he won't be able to hear.
That'd be funny.
But no, I'm expecting next week to, go smoother. I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it will. And tech issues may pop up, but they're going to pop up with anything. I mean, we've had tech issues in Google Hangouts. We've had tech issues when other things we've used. So that's always going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just.
Well, as far as Cody's question, did you have any other topics you wanted to go over? I don't have anything exactly set up or lined up for tonight. Just kind of free flowing it at the moment.
Yeah, and I think everybody here's already done the roast, so.
Yep, absolutely.
Just
It is kind of a small crowd tonight, comparatively.
Yeah.
I think people are still trying to see the video from last night. I'm so upset that didn't post, but it'll just mean it'll be brand new again next week. The one thing that I will mention is we did have almost 200 viewers throughout the call last night. That's crazy. I think
Was that viewers through Twitch or YouTube or?
That was combined between Twitch and YouTube. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's.
Because while we were live, it was live on YouTube.
Huh.
Oh, I have a pretty simple question to ask everybody. Anybody else here going to Gen Con this year?
I will not be going. I don't know about the rest of them.
I'm not going to be making it this year.
I do not have any plans to go.
Let's see. I'm probably gonna go. I have to get some business cards and stuff ready, but once I do, I'm probably gonna start promoting my the think tank, Geek Think Tank, which is a podcast thing I'm mostly working on with some fellows. But I was kind of hoping to do some network stuff for other channels, so maybe put Dice&Decks and their Facebook stuff on my card too, or something. I don't know, but
that's fine. That's fine by me. I mean, if you're going there and you want to promote it, that's cool. The logo's on the site. You should be able to just grab it from there.
Yeah, and I'll start designing a thing because I want to have on the front like all the things that I represent, and on the back have my Facebook, have different contact information, stuff like that. So
that's cool. So where Gen Con, That's in San Diego, right?
No,
I think it's in Indianapolis this year, isn't it?
it's always been in Indianapolis, but
Oh, I'm thinking of Comic-Con, SDCC.
Yeah.
My bad.
Well, I didn't know if they were going to move it because of all the political brouhaha that's been going on or not, but
They were talking about moving it.
yeah.
you can't do it without paying an extravagantly large fine and stuff like that. I don't think they could take the hit. So that's why they said in 2020 or something like that, they'd be renegotiating or getting out of the contract, something like that.
Well, if you're going, you might want to contact some of the. Not that I'm trying to take anything away from Dice&Decks, but you might want to contact some of the other gaming-related YouTubers like Juice or Nerdarchy or anybody and see if they're going to happen to be there, because you never know, they may even have a table or something set up.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. I'm basically just going to go as a freelancer, put on my business card, freelancer, game master, stuff like that, and then promote people on the business card. But I got to pick 2 or 3 things to promote on it because I can't feasibly put too much on a business card. But
limited billboard space.
Yeah. So I just want to put enough stuff that I could represent a couple different companies or whatever. But it's my number one reason for doing it was so that I don't have to be awkward and say, hey, I want to keep in contact with you. Can I write down my URL and stuff for Facebook or something? Because that's kind of awkward. So
yeah, you can get business cards that look pretty nice for really inexpensive. I want to say Vistaprint does like $250 or $500 or something like that for free, or $5 or some really low amount.
Yeah, I can go to any place and do it. I just have to design one and whatever, but I have to find 1 or 2 more things to promote because I want to put on there that like, hey, I'm legit, I'm working with these guys and stuff like that. And since Dice&Decks is the first one to extend their hand to me so far, it's just gonna be like, maybe I'll put you guys after Think Tank, but because 100% you guys are the only people to have extended the olive branch to me so far. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an easy thing to do. I mean, we're just trying to get in contact with everybody, that wants to be in contact with other people, so to speak. And if we can facilitate that, like we have friends of the channel that are, very well known already. We have people who are, up and coming, like ourselves as well. It's weird, like we're kind of in a middle grounds position without actually having the middle grounds experience, if that makes sense.
Well, that's the thing is I was thinking I might just go there and, introduce myself as Cody Martin, freelancer, and then, I also work closely with Dice&Decks, stuff like that. Because word of mouth is the best advertising. So, like, having a guy at Gen Con for your stuff is like gold.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, word of mouth, it's the cheapest and most successful form of advertising. Oh, hey, how did you hear about us? Oh, I know a guy who knows a guy. That's how all this even started. I knew Joe originally because he worked at the same place as I did, and he actually knew my mother, of all things. And then Joe knows Dan, and then we met Ty, and Ty knew one of our other guests, and he came on, and I reached out to another of our guests, and he came on, and I got a couple emails in my inbox from a few other people that have been watching and are curious as to what we're doing, and we're going to see if we can get them on. So it's definitely interesting and gaining some momentum. I don't want to say I don't care about the numbers, like, because it's cool, but that's not what it's about. It's about having the context you want to have, and talking about what you want to talk about, and just having fun with it. I know Joe said that before, but that's what we're trying to do. Joe, Dan, are you guys? Ty, what were you gonna say?
Well, I was going to say, as far as like numbers go, the number of people who see videos and things like that. Yeah, if you focus too much on that kind of thing, you can drive yourself crazy, and it's all kind of relative too. Because I mean, even if you look at some of what we would consider fairly popular tabletop YouTubers, I mean, some of those people their videos may have 2, 3, even 5,000 viewers, which to us sounds like a ton, but when I compare it to other YouTubers, non-gaming related, that I watch, I mean, these are people who are getting 100,000 hits a day. And I mean, while it's always a good thing to push for more and try for more, you can't really just totally focus on that, because, like I said, you'll burn yourself out if you totally focus on nothing but sheer numbers. So, I mean, you got to kind of sit back and go with the flow a little bit and keep doing your best. And I hate to use a cliche, but if you build it, they will come. Is kind of true. As long as you're putting the content out there and it's content that people want, they'll find you. It may take a while sometimes, but they'll find you.
I mean, but that's the thing, is I was just offering to help a little bit because, like I said, you guys are the first people to outreach to me. I mean, whether it was passive, it was more passive, but I mean, you're the only people putting up stuff like, hey, you guys, anybody who wants to jump in.
Oh no, I think that's great. I don't think anybody means to say don't do that or shoot your idea down or anything. Yeah, definitely. If you're going to be there, get the word out.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I mean, I just would like to use my networking skills and business opportunities and stuff like that to, help a good cause. So, I mean, and it always is better to have someone there who's kind of representing something.
Yeah. Now, I'm not real familiar with gaming conventions or even like cosplay conventions, but I am somewhat familiar with writing conventions. And from my experience there, most of the real stuff happens after hours, usually at the bar and the parties. Now, I'm not condoning going and getting drunk or anything. Like, if that's your thing, go for it. If it's not, it's not. But I just do know at writing conventions, a lot of times not only the real interesting stuff, but the real networking stuff usually happens after hours, so to speak.
So just real quick, how crazy do these writing conventions get after hours? Is it just like, I just can't imagine.
It gets so crazy.
Just describe to me a little bit.
It gets so crazy that nobody even writes about it. Is that the gist of it, Ty?
It depends on the convention and where it's at. Generally, I don't know. I don't want to say the bigger convention things go one way or another, because you never know. A lot really depends on who's going to be there. I would generally say conventions, the after hours are not as wild as they were maybe 20 years ago. If for no other reason than social media. I mean, cameras and stuff are everywhere. People have a tendency to keep their real crazy stuff behind closed doors more than they used to, at least at conventions anyway.
That's funny, because I was just going to chime in and say, paparazzi.
Well, and you also have to remember, you're talking to people from Wisconsin. Our level of parties are pretty high comparatively, so our starting point is pretty intense.
That's interesting, because like partying isn't as big of a thing here in Vegas, even though you'd think it would be. But then again, you also got to remember that it's the combination of people from places like Wisconsin and the vibe of here that become the perfect storm. So.
Well, yeah, I would think if you live in Vegas, maybe the first month or so might be real exciting, but after that, it would probably just become the same old, same old.
Well, actually, most people who get here get real fed up with it in the first month. In fact, fun fact, it only takes a year for most people who move here to move out. That's like a statistical thing I could show you guys, but apparently Vegas isn't all what it's cracked up to be when you live here.
Well, it's like having a 24-hour college campus. I mean, people are going to be there just for a couple days and they're just going to live it up. And especially if somebody who's trying to have a career, have a family, have settle down, that's not very conducive to that kind of thing in Vegas, unfortunately.
Well, in general, it's not even just that. Like even people who stay here for about 5 years, like 5 years is also a cutout point for most people because 5 years is once you get to the 5 year mark, nothing is exciting. You will realize that locals get the shaft a lot, and it's just not. It's like the combination of a big city and a small city in terms of certain things. For example, dating. Everybody knows everybody locally here. Like if you toss a stone, this town is not that big. Chances are, especially in the geeky, the nerdy communities or whatever, you're going to hit someone that you know. For example, in my Facebook, I have like 50 of my friends from high school, and from just there alone, I branch out to every single person from SCA here to, wargaming to whatever, and you'll realize that pool is like it's just very small. Like I'd say grand total of 500 nerdy people in Vegas. Like as a good vantage point. And
That's terrible.
Huh?
That's terrible. I mean, yeah, you'd have the assumption that Vegas would have more, but at the same time, like, not really, because that's more of a different type of gaming. That's more this type of dice.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is with the locals, if you're born and raised here, they usually leave because of what I said earlier. Like, you realize that it's really not what it's cracked up to be, and you just want to get the hell out of Vegas.
I think a lot of tourist towns are probably like that to some extent, though, and Vegas is sort of, in the U.S., Vegas is kind of the ultimate tourist town, I would think.
Well, see, the thing is that in the last few years, tourism hasn't actually been a really big thing. Like, we're actually going down the tubes because our tourism is declining. And so it's not even that anymore. It's more we're a transient town now, where, like, people will spend a weekend and that's about it. And it's not even to, like, enjoy the sights and stuff. It's just kind of like, oh, we're going to get a hotel here and then go to Cali, or, and that's what sucks is they're not staying and spending money, which is hurting everybody here. And that's what I meant by we're kind of a mixture between a big town and a small city, when it comes to things. Because, yeah, we're open 24/7, but, there's not much for locals to do. I mean, at least when it comes down to, people with our interests. Yeah, there's a lot of people that like anime and stuff here, but the chances of getting a group of people that like the same thing together is insane. It's kind of, also divided by the 15. If you're on the west side of town, nobody wants to spend the gas or the whatever to get all the way to the east side of town, and vice versa. So it's very secular. Like, you either were really popular in school and had your friends and stuff, and you're kind of stuck there, or all your friends left, and like my situation, and now you're sitting online alone most nights because nobody wants to try to, get out of their comfort zone of a mile, So it's tough.
Gaming hell.
Yeah, I mean, even then, the closest store that has active gaming community is all the way on the west side of town. Like 10, 15 miles that way for me, and I'm pointing to west, but And that's like, eh.
I will trade you.
Would you have a car though?
Yeah, I've got a car.
See, I don't. I have to scoot
okay.
around, and I have to use so for example, if I want to scoot like on my moped or whatever, it'll take me about an hour to get there. Maybe 30 to 45 minutes, I'd say.
That's about how I am with a car. It takes me about an hour to get to any kind of civilization, just about.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan. Dan.
He might have fallen asleep.
No, I don't think he fell asleep. I think he's building.
I'm preoccupied.
See, look at that. What a jerk. He's busy working in the program right now. I know what he's doing.
Hey, speaking of which, I was thinking about doing that, but is there a way to mute the music in the map editor?
Yes, hit M, as in Mary.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. So we got about 18 minutes left of the call. Is there anything you guys want to talk about?
Not exactly. I mean, just
the earthquake
not
in
too much.
the earthquake in Nepal was kind of a big deal in the news. I don't necessarily want to talk about it. I just wanted to bring it up because that's something I don't think many people thought could happen. A earthquake near Mount Everest that causes an avalanche. That's kind of scary. I know that they said the loss of life could reach over 10,000, which is obviously a lot of people affected by that. Not to mention the infrastructure damage too, and then the world landmarks and that kind of thing that are damaged.
Yeah, and it seems like from just what I saw today, it seemed like Nepal was almost forgotten by the media because of all the stuff that's going on the East Coast. But
What's going on the East Coast?
Baltimore. But I mean, that's fairly typical for especially television. America, but especially television media and online media.
Well, I'm gonna drop some geology knowledge on this topic. So, and this of course assumes that you believe in the tectonic plates and the world wasn't made 6,000 years ago, that kind of thing. But
What?
the idea of India, the Indian tectonic plate, is the whole reason why the subcontinent plate is pushing into Eurasia, and the Indian tectonic plate is actually one of the fastest moving plates. Actually, it might be the fastest moving plate on the Earth right now, and we don't catch it because we live for maybe 100 years, and this is talking thousands and millions of years. But that's the reason that the Himalayas are actually so high, is because it's two continental crusts that are smushed up against each other, and the Indian plate is still actually putting so much pressure on the Eurasia plate that it's uplifting. And that's something where you're going to get that movement and that push from the Indian plate just because it's actually been ramming into Eurasia for a lot of extra speed, more than actually what you have in a lot of other plates in the world. There's some actually really cool, like you can just get some animated GIFs of the plate movements over the last, 6 billion years or whatever, and you can really see India moves very, very quickly into the Eurasian plate, and it's just going to keep building up pressure because it still is pushing in that direction.
So I knew that that's how the mountains were created, but like you had mentioned, it's not something that we see like in our pathetically short lives. And I just don't think that a lot of times when you think about the plates and how they make mountains, that you think that mountains can be affected by a singular event, such as an earthquake. I mean, obviously it's the earth quaking, but I wouldn't have picked that Mount Everest would be involved in that. I mean, sure, around it and the buildings and stuff maybe, but for it to actually cause an avalanche, like that's pretty intense to wrap my head around.
So I mean so a couple things. The idea that the earthquake itself is actually the release of pressure, and whenever you have so when you crack your knuckles, you're actually releasing pressure in your cartilage, and that actually allows the cartilage to grow more because you've actually released the gas pressure, and that makes the more you crack your knuckles, the bigger your knuckles get. And the same idea sort of happens with earthquakes. When you actually release pressure, you have a gap that is created, and then that'll allow the rocks to push even more, the continental plate to push even more. There's a thing in glacial geology called a freeze-thaw cycle, and that's how a lot of rocks will get split and how a lot of avalanches will start because the rock will have ice form in it. As it'll, water will drip down and then it'll freeze and it'll expand and that'll push that crack even more, and eventually you'll get more water and that'll freeze and it'll crack the rock even more. So all this stuff kind of goes hand in hand. And then a lot of the Mount Everest rock is actually limestone. So a lot of Mount Everest was, at one point in time underwater. And so that's the other thing, is the highest point on the Earth is actually something that at one point was underwater. And that's something a lot of other people don't actually get a chance to, learn about. And I think that was also, it's something that you think about. It's like, okay, it's really, really high, but at one point I could have swam over what is now Mount Everest. Sorry, that's my geology nerd talking, so that's what I got.
Scientist Joe, how was the Grand Canyon formed?
Grand Canyon is uplift of the plateau on a flat plane, and so the water level is actually cutting down into the earth as the plate is uplifting a little bit.
Okay. Is that you talking or your bard?
That's me talking. No, that's actually what it is. So Michigan, this is a fun fact, Michigan is actually still on isostatic rebound from the last glaciation. There was so much ice over Michigan that it depressed, and this is not a Detroit joke, it depressed the state of Michigan into the asthenosphere, which is a liquid layer of molten rock below the crust, and that is actually now lifting back up, and there's an isostatic rebound because of all the ice is gone now.
Okay, but can you create the Himalayas in a virtual play space?
I can only go up to 4 levels of a dungeon so far, so maybe not. We'll see.
But the ones around the water kind of look like it.
Yeah.
True enough. All I know is growing up in central Kentucky, there, which is also limestone country, there are fossils everywhere. Not like big dinosaur fossils, but like ocean, bottom of the ocean fossils all over the place.
Yeah, you get a lot of crustaceans, some reef action probably.
Yeah.
Depending on the age ranges, you're going to bounce either between brachiopods and trilobites, or the, now I'm going to forget the name of them. They're the squid-looking thingies that, I forget what they're called now. But yeah, I mean, depending on the.
Sorry, squid-looking thingies.
Yeah, they used to have a straight shell, and then they coiled, and I just forget their name. But they're part of the same family.
And another thing I know is the difference between, or the major difference anyway, between whiskey and Kentucky bourbon is that limestone filtration.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Ammonite and ammonoids that's what I was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and also depending on the age range of the limestone, I guess I could probably look it up. You might get a lot of like crinoid beds. Crinoids are sweet. They look like flowers, but they're actually animals. They're really awesome. Actually, I should go visit sometime. You can show me some fossils, and I'll go dig them up and take them home.
Well, I'm not in Kentucky. I don't live there now, but growing up there, I mean, any construction site or farm or anything, whenever there was digging involved, there were always, I mean, you couldn't go anywhere. But, apparently None of those were real, and Satan put all of them there 6,000 years ago to fool everybody.
See, somebody got that reference. I'm glad somebody did.
Hey, I wasn't raised Southern Baptist for nothing.
I totally thought he did. I'm so confused right now. My mind is just blowing.
It's actually really, I really appreciate the fact that even though I don't use my geology degree, I really appreciate the fact that I went in that field because there's a lot of cool things that I'm glad that I learned, and I'm glad that I know. Just regionally sometimes it's just kind of cool.
See, watch Dice and Decks, have fun, talk about D&D, and become smarter.
Become more good or smart.
That's right. Become mostest smarter Smartington.
Because we as educated.
That's right. Oh shoot! Hey Ty, when you were saying before that there's a lot of fossils there, I'm like, you don't need to insult yourself, Ty. You're not that old.
Oh snap!
No, I'm in North Carolina now. It's different down here.
Did you take your shirt off and twirl it around your head just like a helicopter?
No.
Oh. Sorry, that was a lame joke. For those of you who don't know, just type in, I'm from North Carolina. Oh,
yeah,
man.
well, yeah, that seems to be like a Marine thing that they do, because my brother was stationed out there in Camp Lejeune, and that's like an initiation or some crap that they have to like do that in front of the whole platoon.
Nice. I just remember watching the movie Drumline, which is actually a really good movie. First time I watched it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be terrible, but I don't know. I like it.
Yeah. Oh, look, a race book for freaking Kickstarter. That's, yeah. I'm so jaded.
Anything you're kickstarting right now?
Me, no, because practically all the things that are tabletop related are just not useful.
Nice.
I was told to Kickstarter something, and I don't know if I could legally, so I did not.
Could legally? What?
So, well, I mean, Brennan knows Nate. One of our other players suggested that I Kickstarter a board game, but it's very heavily based off of Hollow Chess from Star Wars. So I was like, yeah, probably not gonna be able to do that. I'm still working on building it though, so if anybody wants to play at some point, we actually could be able to do that. The nice thing is actually the idea is that when the combat happens on the chessboard, the computer actually did an analysis of who is stronger, and it actually did some random tables. So you actually get to roll for your combat. So in D&D, playing a strategy game, you actually get to roll dice to determine who wins combat. So it's actually kind of cool.
And we do play Hollow Chess in our D&D campaigns. We haven't yet, but we're going. Well, we haven't yet recording it, but we're going to be at some point playing Hollow Chess as our characters while we're playing D&D.
Yeah. Only we're gonna call it. I don't know. Did we come up with a name yet? I still kind of like Mazes and Monsters, but I know it's the name of a movie, so I don't know if we can actually do that either.
Well, the thing is if you guys are planning on publishing anything at some point, then it'll become an issue. But I'm not sure about the legality of a hangout or a recording on YouTube. If you can call it.
Oh no, we're cool to broadcast and that kind of thing. Yeah, that's easy enough to do. It's just you can't be making money from it. So.
Yeah, which I mean, unless you guys have some way of making money while you do it, then you should be fine.
We're gambling while we do it.
Yeah.
No. That's funny. Shoot. All right. Well, we got about 5 minutes left. Cody, I know you said you're going to Gen Con, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when?
The end of July until the 2nd of August.
Awesome. And you're going to be out there as a freelancer promoting your stuff and Dice and Decks by the sound of it. Anyone you want to give a shout out to?
You mean for anyone else who's watching this, or?
Yeah, sure. Or just anyone you want to say thank you to, or that kind of thing.
Well, I guess I'm just gonna say I thank Dice&Decks for once again allowing me to be on their recordings. I find that's pretty awesome that you guys extended the olive branch. And hopefully as time progresses, I can be a bit more useful. But I definitely feel that once I get my cards done, I'll put Dice&Decks on the card and help you guys out a little bit. Because I think that your cause is admirable. So here's to you guys.
Well, thank you, sir. And we certainly appreciate that. Dan, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
I'm going to give a shout out to Mike McDonald for the awesome virtual play space here. Yeah, I'm going to be stuck in this thing for the next few days, guys.
That's what you were doing the whole call, isn't it? Playing in that.
Like I said, I've been I'm trying to downsize the map to try and make it so people can load it. So I'm shrinking everything pretty much.
Dude, if you call into work, I'm coming over to your place and I'm smashing your computer.
Actually, I have the next 2 days off, so I don't have to really worry about that.
Ty, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, actually, I will. Since we were talking about Kentucky, I'll give a shout out to the Rusty Scabbard, which is a gaming shop in Lexington, Kentucky. It's still there today. It was my first gaming shop. I'm sure I bought my first player's handbook there and Star Frontiers back in 1980. It was in a different spot then. It was downtown. Now it's out behind the shopping center. But the Rusty Scabbard is still there in Lexington, Kentucky. I don't have their website up real quick.
That's all right. We can Google it easy enough. The Rusty Scabbard in Lexington. So, being that they moved locations, would their name technically be the newer, rustier Scabbard?
I don't know. It's been a while, I believe, since they moved. I don't know exactly when they did, but yeah, I suppose you could call it the new rustier Scabbard.
That's funny.
And
yeah, go ahead, Ty.
I wanted to add, in one of my, or actually in several of my books, I named one of the taverns the Rusty Scabbard.
That is awesome. See, that's a huge shout out right there. Joe?
Oh, shout outs. I just want to really thank everybody for checking us out and playing and helping us with yesterday's broadcast. Obviously, I know that it didn't go up on YouTube or anything, but the Twitch stream seemed to work out really well, and everybody just kind of working through that was really appreciative of everybody's effort on that kind of thing. Just again, I mean, the fact that we've got people on here conversing about topics that they want to talk about, the role-playing aspect of things, I think is just awesome. And shout out to my friend Ernie, who is going to play in his first PPTQ. Hopefully he does well this weekend. I'm actually going to help him play test tomorrow night. He's got a couple decks we're going to work on, and he has some stuff to work through, so we'll see what we can do this weekend for him.
Oh, yeah, and that would be the Dex side of the channel coming through a little bit there. That's the Pro Tour qualifier for Magic the Gathering, right?
It's the PPTQ now, so it's like the pre-Pro Tour qualifier. They broke it down. They changed up some of the structure rules for it, and there's some other qualification things that you have to do. The PTQs were getting too big, I guess, and so they broke it down a little bit. And now there's the I don't think it's actually pre-Pro Tour qualifier, but it's something else like that. And so you have to actually do well in that. Then you go to another qualifier, and then you can get into some of that stuff. So he's got he hasn't decided what deck he's going to play, and it's always the question of, do I play what people are saying is the top tier decks, or to play something that might not be quite the top tier deck, but I play it better. The stuff that he's more comfortable with. So that's something we're going to work on tomorrow and see what plays best for him. He likes to take on the role of the underdog and play something that other people haven't seen and something that he is, developed a bit more himself. So we'll see how that works out against some of the top tier stuff as we play tomorrow.
There you go. All right. Well, unless there's anything else from anybody, I'll go ahead and begin shutting this down with the final shout-outs. Thanks for watching, everybody. We really appreciate it. Again, you can find us on YouTube if you haven't already, or over on Twitch. We'll be doing more and more of that. We'll probably be moving the Hangouts over there at some point, depending on how the calls go. I know certain nights are better than other nights for guests, but definitely want to give a shout out again to Mike McDonald for making the Revolution Virtual Playspace happen, and allowing us to broadcast our content from it, and be the only official authorized broadcasters and playgroup for it is nice as well. We're definitely going to be doing more and more of that. We'll be doing the 3.5 one-shots on Monday nights, and then we're looking to do some 5.0 one-shots at some point. And that's pretty much it, guys. Dice and Decks signing off now for the after call if anyone's interested.